So I had an awakening experience about 10 years ago, and the experience came out of a time of a lot of suffering and difficulty in my life. I was going through a breakup and had a real sense of inner conflict and a lot of pain and a lot of thoughts of wanting to die, and was really struggling quite a lot. And in the midst of that, very much in the thick of that, I had an experience sitting on my couch at home one evening and seeing very clearly the image of a tree form in my living room, where there was a very solid trunk and base to the tree, and then two branches coming out. And the branches represented all that is good and positive and feels good in the human experience, what we would call good things. And the other branch clearly represented pain and suffering and challenges and difficulty. And the words that came sort of in my mind at that time were that everything is God, and that the clear sense that everything comes from the same source. And the emotional experience at that time was a sense of feeling a deep sense of healing, and that some split inside me had been solved. And I felt a lot of grace and a sense of gratitude for having some sense of peace coming into my life around what I had been going through. And as life progressed in the weeks and months after that experience, for the first time in my life, I started having mystical experiences and a sense of things being quite altered in my experience, seeing through things, or seeing people in sort of the sense of how we're all the same in their energy forms or things like that. And found both a sense of a lot of peace and contentment during that time, a sense of feeling very good, and also a sense of feeling quite unsettled. And this was over many weeks and months. And it really came to a head as I went and saw a fairly well-known teacher speak at a meditation center, and he was speaking about meditation, and I was sitting there and had this sudden realization or knowing that he wasn't talking about the truth, and had a moment of inner query as to how did I know that, and really became to understand that something quite different had happened from that initial experience, and became much more interested in reaching out to places where I knew the truth was being talked about. The spiritual community became much more important to me, and key teachers who could talk to me and guide me and help me understand that I really was at the beginning of a process and a big shift in my own life at that time, and help me understand what was happening, and help me give me a context for what had happened, and that became a place for me to really ground, as places where I knew the truth was being discussed.